You can't go anywhere these days without seeing Branzino on the menu. I'm Dawn, and I would like to welcome you to my channel. Branzino. It's definitely having its moment in the spotlight. It's a great fish. I love it. I order it when I go out because I enjoy trying different ways that people prepare it. We do a lot of fish at home. We do orange roughy, salmon, mahi-mahi, tuna, trout, and different fishes. But today I wanted to do a Branzino at home with a couscous side. So I thought we'd make it together. I have a couple right here. I did give mine a pre-rinse, and I'm just gonna go and kind of dry the skin. Just take one at a time. And this is just to keep it from being slimy and wet and making sure that the ingredients, the toppings we put on it, the herbs and spices actually do stick. So we're just gonna kind of give them a quick little dry, post-bath dry. Okay, and then we're gonna pop them on a special board I only use for fish because we certainly don't want to stink up our other cutting boards, especially wood. Okay, so I'm gonna take the fish. I'm going to leave it whole. Branzino is usually, if not always, served this way, the tail and the head. If that bothers you, you can cut it off, but this is the way it is served, and it's kind of fun for presentation. We're gonna stuff this with real fresh ingredients. I'm gonna open it up, and I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. Okay, so I've washed my hands off. They're nice and clean. I'm going to give it just a real nice salt and pepper. And this is just to give a little bit of flavor. I don't want to do a lot to this fish to cover up the flavor. It's just such a really great, wonderful, fresh fish. It doesn't need it. So I'm going to take a little bit, usually use Himalayan salt. Just give a little bit of salt. And I am going to do the inside as well. So inside the cavity, you're going to give a little salt. And then this guy, again, it doesn't need a whole lot. Just a little bit to kind of give it some flavor when it's roasting in the oven. You can also grill this on the grill. That would be delicious. Today I'm just using the oven. And I'm going to throw a little bit of pepper. And if you enjoy cooking at home, I really would suggest always using fresh ground pepper. It's a lot tastier, has a lot more flavor, and you can control the amounts. Now I'm going to slice up some onion and lemon, thin slices. I'm going to put this inside the cavity. So I kind of want nice thin slices that have a lot of the center juiciness to it. I'm going to just layer these inside for flavor. This will give a great lemony flavor as the fish is cooking. You know, sometimes people top fish with lemon when they're done. I like to cook it with it because I like that flavor to get into the fish while it's cooking. Okay, so that should give me some lemon to work with. And then I'm going to take my onion. I'm going to take off the skin. And you'll probably hear me say this in a couple of different shows, but I take that first layer of onion off. I just don't like the outside layer if it's at all soft. So I want a nice crisp onion. So I'm going to give this just a nice thin slice as well. Should be good. I'm going to open up the fish cavity. And this one, I feel like I could open it up a little bit more. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a cut, a little slice a little bit further down, just so I can get some lemon and onion further. And I'm just going to start layering the fish. To be delicious. And even though we don't eat the head and the tail, I do try to get the flavor all the way through the fish. So that should be good. And if the fish is smaller like this one and the lemon slices are too big, you slice them up a little bit more. You can go in and do half moons, so just like half circles to get them in there, but I think this might work. Let's start with the head. It's kind of some nice layers in there. So for instance, this little half moon would be better down there. It smells so good. Lemon is so refreshing. So that's stuffed. Then I'm going to take some of my onion and I'm going to do the same thing. Whenever I can, I use fresh flavors. It just makes such a difference. So that's beautiful. You can see that. And then we're going to load this one up and use a little bit smaller slices for the smaller fish. I'm going to start with the head, go all the way down. Again, if you don't like dealing with the head, you can cut it off, or you can even have your local meat department where you buy it cut it up for you. They usually are willing to do that kind of thing. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to brush it a little bit lightly with the oil. I didn't do it at first because I didn't want it to get all over as I'm trying to work with it. It can get really slippery. So I'm just going to go in now. You can drizzle a little bit of the olive oil and brush it on. And if you feel like you lost a little salt and pepper in the process, you can just go back again. It's really not a big deal. And you don't have to brush it too much. You just want to make sure that it evenly distributes just real quickly. You're just trying to get a nice crisp skin. That's all you're really doing with the oil. You're just trying to get it a little bit oily so it'll get a crispy edge so it's edible. So now I'm going to take my pan. So I'm going to put the oil side down and then I'll go and oil it once it's on the pan on the other side. So we put this one down and put this one probably the other way so there's one head, one tail, just kind of like a shoebox. It fits better that way. Okay, looks beautiful. I'm just going to go in and drizzle a little bit more oil. And I'm just going to brush that, tap it on real quick. Just need a little bit more. I really enjoy fish skin. Some people leave it. I grew up with a lot of salmon in the Northwest. If the skin was crisp, I always liked it. So personal choice, but the presentation and the option, that's great. I actually think the salt and pepper stayed wonderfully. So I don't need to go in and do more salt and pepper, but if you were a little more aggressively brushing in the oil, you certainly can. So now we are ready to pop it in the oven. My oven is preheated to 400 degrees, and we're going to pop it in 7 minutes about on each side. If you like this recipe, please like and subscribe to this channel, and I hope you join me in the future. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook under Living Life Beautifully. So before I pop this in, I want to show you a side dish that I absolutely love. I do a lot of jasmine rice, I do a lot of roasted potatoes, of course a lot of vegetables and salads, but this is kind of a neat alternative. I love pearl couscous. I like the multicolor. I think it gives a little something on the side. A lot of our starches are unhealthy or they're just white. I think it's a neat alternative. I also love lemon orzo, which I'll make some time for you. But today we're going to do the pearl couscous. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1.5 cups of water into this pan with a little bit of olive oil. Just do that for a little bit of taste and a little salt and pepper. And then I'm going to bring it to a boil. And once it's boiling, I'll put 1 cup of couscous in. And this should yield you about 2 cups. So for tonight, I'm cooking for 2 to 4 people. Okay, I'm just going to throw a little bit of olive oil, a dash of salt, and a little bit of pepper. And let's put that on the stove to boil. While that is boiling, I'm going to cut up some fun things to put into my couscous. You really can't go wrong. You can do tomatoes, cucumbers, cold couscous, which I would do cucumbers, avocados, anything that's in my vegetable drawer that's really, really great. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to slice up some of my red onion. I'm actually going to dice it up. This is just for a little bit of flavor, a little bit of heat. If you're eating later, less is probably a little bit better because it does permeate the longer it sits in the refrigerator. But if you're eating pretty soon, I'd say go for it. I think onion adds a nice crunch. So we're just going to slice up some of these beautiful multicolored tomatoes. I think I'm going to go half lengthwise and then half widthwise. I find that they stay together. It depends on the shape. But some of my really long little tomatoes do better quartered that way. Sometimes I do feta cheese. Today I'm going to do just a real nice soft buffalo mozzarella, and I'm just going to kind of enjoy all the flavors on a little bit mellower level. And I have some fresh herbs, which are just great, so we're going to throw those in as well. If you don't have the multicolored tomatoes in season in your store, any kind of tomato is fine. I'm going to dice up a little bit of fresh dill, slice that off. And you might notice I use fresh herbs as often as I can. I really do think it makes a difference. It's not that it will stop me from cooking if I have to pull out a herb from the drawer, but I sure think it makes a difference. Okay, so we have a little bit of dill, and now I'm going to do some chives. And honestly, if I had just done a recipe with other herbs, I would be using those. So don't feel like you have to necessarily go out and get the same herbs I'm using. I tend to cook things different almost every time in a little bit of a way, so you can't go wrong. I just think as long as it's fresh, you're good to go. This is the buffalo mozzarella. This one I bought recently. I bought actually for caprese salad, so it was sliced, really handy. I don't really need it this shape right now, so I'm just going to go dice it up. Pretty easy. Nice little cubes. And there is the mozzarella. That's a good amount right there. Let's check on the water. It is boiling and ready. So we're going to put 1 cup of the pro couscous in. Okay, now that the couscous is in, I'm just going to give it a quick stir and reduce the heat to simmer for about 8 to 10 minutes. I'm going to peak on it probably closer to 7 minutes. And I'm going to cover it up and let it simmer. Again, 8 to 10 minutes and we'll check on it. We're just going to slow cook it on a simmer and let it hydrate. While I'm waiting for the couscous to cook, I'm going to put the ingredients into my bowl. And once the couscous has been cooked, I'm going to pop it in there and then we'll add the little olive oil and lemon juice and seasonings. But for now, I'm just going to put all this away. And then it's getting close to the time where I can put the fish into the oven. If you want a cold couscous, which is something I really love, especially in warm weather, then you'd want to make this a little further in advance and cook the fish a little later. But I don't mind having a little bit of a warm couscous. It's a dinner and we're kind of early spring. It's beautiful during the day, but chills down at night. So I don't mind a little bit of a warm kind of couscous salad. Looks delicious. It smells really good, nice and fresh. So we'll just set that aside. And again, this is the presentation. This is the way it's going in. A little bit of space between each fish, nice and spread out, ready to go. I'm going to put it in the preheated oven at 400 degrees. I'm going to just get the olives and parsley ready just to top the fish once it comes out, because we're going to eat this right away. This is something you really can't make too far in advance. You want to make it and serve it pretty quickly because you want the fish to be warm. If you put it back in the oven to reheat, it can overcook and you want the skin nice and crisp. So for this, I'm just going to go back in, and like I did before, I'm just going to cut very thin, and this time even thinner, just paper thin little lemon slices. They are going to be so thin that they're not only pretty, but they're edible. So I want to go as tissue thin as you can cut. And then I'm going to cut up some olives. And unfortunately, my store was out of fresh pitted olives in the olive bar. But you could buy them in a jar. You can pit them yourselves. You can get pitted. But I'm going to go for a pitted olive so we don't have any surprises at the dinner table. Okay, that should be enough to work with. And then I'm just rough cut some parsley. You can also use flat leaf parsley. I actually prefer flat leaf parsley, but my store was out. You could also do a cilantro. You wouldn't want to go too heavy because it would change the flavor a little bit, but you just want to give a cute little green topping. And you know, another thing you can do, which I'm a big fan of, is just going a little bit more rustic and throwing in a sprig of it. So maybe we'll do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We'll show you both routes. We'll have a little bit of rough cut parsley just for a sprinkle, and then I will have a sprig to throw in. It's just platter decoration, basically. Okay, so we have that. And then the olives, I'm just going to go in and slice and pull the pit out. Not the most fun. It's more fun to buy pitted olives. That's all right. It is what they had. And I do think fresh olives are so delicious. It's worth it. And you know, you can buy a pit remover. I need to add that to my list. Like a cherry pit remover. I bet that'd work for olives. If you have any suggestions, feel free to note them below. I'm always open to new kitchen gadgets. If you're enjoying this recipe, please like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, How to Live Life Beautifully, and also follow us on Instagram and Facebook. All right, so I have some olives. I'll throw a couple green ones in for color. And Friday, oh, looks like that one's already pitted. It's a freebie. The couscous has cooked, it's ready. I'm just gonna throw it into my bowl of vegetables and herbs. And again, you could chill it, something I do often. You can use an olive oil, you can use champagne vinaigrette. I think I'm going to use a shallot oil. I have a really good shallot oil. I kind of was looking for an excuse to use it, so I'm just going to throw this into couscous. It smells delicious. Okay, and then I'm going to throw in some lemon. Nice amount of lemon juice. So in here I have chives, dill, tomatoes, mozzarella, salt, and pepper. So I'm just going to throw this into the refrigerator and let it come to room temperature. It's almost done. I'm going to make a quick little sauce to drizzle over the fish. I'm going to use a little bit of lemon, garlic, olive oil, salt, and pepper. Just a real simple mix. I'm just going to put in some lemon, probably about a half a lemon to a lemon, depending on the size of lemon you have. Pull out the seeds. And I'm going to throw in some olive oil. Equal parts. I have some garlic over here. I'm just going to throw a clove in. I'm just doing enough for these two fish. I did 1 clove garlic and a little bit of salt to taste, pepper to taste. I'm just going to grab a little whisk and I'm just going to whisk it up. And this will just give a nice little flavor on top, especially with the garlic and lemon. I mean, delicious. So we have this to pour over, and then we'll top it with the other items we already chopped up. Let me go check on the fish. I'm about ready to pull the fish out of the oven. I'm just going to quickly transfer the couscous into the bowl to serve. Let me grab that. Looks great. By popping it into the refrigerator for just a few minutes, it helps keep the cheese from melting. So this was a mozzarella, you could use feta, whatever, but I didn't want the cheese to start melting, so this was perfect. It kind of chilled it to a room temperature or slightly cooler. So I'm just going to transfer the couscous into a serving bowl. And see how colorful it is? I just love the color, and it does not lack flavor, that's for sure. You can probably hear the sizzle. This is just perfect. It's coming out just how I wanted it to. It's beautiful. And you know, if it looks a little imperfect on the skin here and there, that's what makes it so great. Rustic is great. You want it homemade, rustic, fresh. I think that that adds character. I love that sound. Nice sizzle. I'm just going to loosen it up a little bit. And as always, I have a dog right to my left, waiting for a piece of fish. He thinks he's going to get some. All right, so I'm going to transfer this. I'm going to do a platter, more like a restaurant. I want my husband to feel like we're having kind of a fancy dinner. It's a Monday night, and we're kind of rocking Monday nights. Why not? Everybody always says, oh, Monday, Monday. So we try to make Mondays fun, like a date night, special. So there are the fish. I will take the littler guy. I will give him the bigger guy. I'm going to put the side salad, the couscous right here. And we do a lot of meals like this where we'll have a protein and then we'll have a side. So I think that's great for us. I could always throw in some really good Kalamata olive crusty bread into the oven at the last minute too. That would be delicious. So I'm just going to take my sauce. And I'm just going to give it a shake. And I'm just going to go in right over the fish because I'm ready to serve this. So I'm just going to go drizzle and give it an, oh my goodness, it smells so good. It's going to be just delicious. And then we're going to top it with really thin lemon slices. So if you cut some that aren't as thin, skip them. You want paper thin that you could cut into and eat if you're a lemon fan like I am. I love it. So I'm just going to top those. If you don't want to see the fish head, just cover the eyes. All right, and then we're going to do a little bit of the parsley. And this is just to be pretty. Again, I don't really like a plain white plate. I don't like all white foods. I feel like to eat healthy, you have to have a lot of color on your plate. That's kind of your key to if you're eating healthy. So I think it's good. I might just put a couple sprigs, like I said, of the parsley just for decor because it's probably just going to go bad in my refrigerator if I don't use it anyway. So we tuck that in there and just make it pretty. Make my husband feel special. Like, I put some effort into this. And maybe a little one here around the bowl. I don't like that one. How about just right here? A little bit of parsley on the salad as well. Maybe I'll twist one lemon. You just give the lemon a slice in one spot. Give it a twist and pop it on top of the salad for a little fancy twist. That's pretty. I am going to crack a little bit of pepper on top. Just like a little extra pepper and a little bit of more texture on top. And then the last remaining ingredient is the olives. And you can certainly omit the olives if you're not an olive fan. Just up to you. I like the little extra something it gives, so I'm going to throw them on. It couldn't be healthier and more fresh. Right out of the oven, and it was pretty easy. I mean, this wasn't time-lapsed. You went through the whole process with me. So pretty easy, something attainable for a Monday night. So here you have it. If you enjoyed this recipe and would like to see more like it, please like and subscribe to How to Live Life Beautifully, and follow along on Instagram and Facebook as well. I'll see you soon, but in the meantime, rock your weeknights, do something like this, enjoy your evenings at home, eat fresh, eat healthy, and cheers.